Ted Bundy didn't creep through the shadows, and he didn't fit anyone's idea of a monster. He was the kind of person you'd pass on the street and never think twice about. He was the guy smiling at you in the hallway, the one who'd hold the door open and chat about your classes. He seemed like the perfect neighbor, the friendly face you'd trust without a second thought. But while America was busy trusting him, Ted Bundy was on the hunt. Beneath that charming exterior, he was always watching, always calculating his next move. He's one of the most infamous serial killers in US history. At least 30 people murdered, maybe more, all in the 1970s. His crimes sent shockwaves through the country, leaving communities terrified and desperate for answers. His charm was his deadliest weapon, and his victims, young women with their whole lives ahead of them. They were daughters, sisters, friends, each one with dreams and futures that Bundy stole away. Bundy proved that evil doesn't always look evil. Sometimes it wears a smile. Sometimes it's the person you'd least suspect. Born in 1946, Ted Bundy's childhood was all about secrets. His early years were a web of lies and hidden truths. He grew up thinking his grandparents were his parents, and his mother was his sister. That kind of deception shaped his world from the very beginning. That kind of confusion, it messes with your head. It blurs the lines between truth and lies, between love and betrayal. Psychologists think those early lies might have twisted the way Bundy saw control and trust. He learned to hide his true self, to manipulate the people closest to him. Even as a kid, he was obsessed with crime stories, and he didn't really connect with other people. The warning signs, they were there. He was always on the outside, watching, never truly fitting in. But here's where it gets chilling. Bundy figured out that being dangerous wasn't about looking dangerous. He learned to wear a mask, to blend in so perfectly that nobody would ever suspect what he was capable of. In public, he was smart, articulate, volunteering, even helping out at a suicide hotline. He was the last person anyone would fear. People called him thoughtful, reliable, kind. He was the golden boy, the one who seemed destined for success. Nobody saw the darkness lurking underneath. And that was exactly how he wanted it. He was a master at hiding in plain sight. Behind closed doors, Bundy's thoughts grew darker. He became obsessed with fantasies of power and control. He later admitted that violent pornography fueled his fantasies about domination, control, and eventually, murder. These obsessions became the foundation for his crimes. His crimes started quietly in the early 70s. There were no warning bells, no dramatic scenes, just a slow, chilling escalation. Young women disappeared from college campuses, vanishing without a trace. Their friends and families were left with nothing but questions and fear. Nobody linked to the cases. Nobody saw the pattern. The police were left chasing shadows, unable to connect the dots. Bundy's method was pure manipulation. He used people's kindness against them, turning trust into a weapon. He'd fake an injury, a cast, a sling, and politely ask for help. His victims never suspected a thing until it was too late. Because he didn't look scary, his victims let their guard down. He was the embodiment of the phrase, "Don't judge a book by its cover." By the time they realized the truth, it was already too late. The mask would drop and the real Bundy would emerge. He was brutal, calculated, and relentless. He planned every move, leaving as little evidence as possible. After killing, Bundy would sometimes return to the crime scenes, reliving the power he had over his victims. It was never just about the act, it was about the control, the dominance, the memory. For him, it wasn't just about ending lives, it was about owning them. He collected trophies, reminders of his crimes, feeding his twisted sense of power. As more women vanished across Washington, Oregon, Utah, Colorado, and California, police were stumped. The scale of his crimes was unprecedented, and the fear spread from state to state. Serial killers moving from state to state? That idea was new. Bundy took advantage, constantly adapting and staying ahead. He was always one step ahead of the law, always changing his tactics. Witnesses remembered a man named Ted and even described his car, but nobody suspected the charming law student. He was hiding in plain sight, right under everyone's noses. Evil had learned to blend in. It had learned to mimic normalcy, to wear a mask so convincing that even the most vigilant missed it. It all started to unravel in 1975. The cracks in Bundy's perfect facade began to show. Bundy tried to kidnap a woman in Utah, but she escaped and her testimony cracked Bundy's mask. For the first time, the world saw the monster behind the smile. He was arrested, convicted, and, for a moment, it looked like justice had won. The relief was palpable, but it wouldn't last. But Bundy wasn't done. He was cunning, always looking for a way out. He escaped from custody, twice. Each time, he left authorities scrambling and the public in fear. The second time, he made it all the way to Florida, where his violence exploded. He was more desperate, more dangerous than ever before. In January 1978, he broke into the Chi Omega sorority house at Florida State. 2 women murdered, others brutally attacked. The brutality shocked even seasoned investigators. Weeks later, he abducted and killed a 12-year-old girl. The nation was horrified. The sense of safety was shattered. This time, he couldn't run. The net closed in, and Bundy was finally caught. His trial was a media circus. Bundy represented himself, loving every second in the spotlight. He turned the courtroom into a stage, manipulating the audience one last time. But charm doesn't beat evidence. He was convicted, sentenced to death, and finally, after years of confessions and half-truths, executed in 1989. The story that had haunted America was finally over. Crowds cheered outside the prison. People felt a sense of closure, a rare moment of justice in a case that had caused so much pain. For once, the end of a killer really brought relief. Families could finally begin to heal, and a nation could breathe a little easier. Ted Bundy didn't just leave horror in his wake, he left behind a legacy that changed the way we think about evil, about trust, and about the people we let into our lives. He changed how we profile killers, how the media covers crime, how we see the people around us. His crimes forced law enforcement to develop new investigative techniques and inspired a new era of criminal profiling. He forced us to admit that monsters don't always hide in the dark. Sometimes they're hiding in plain sight, wearing the face of someone you think you know. Sometimes they look like the man next door. The lesson Bundy left us with is chilling. Trust, but always be aware. This is Worldwide Crime Files, where I pull back the mask on the world's darkest crimes. Stay vigilant, because sometimes evil is closer than you think.